So, those of you who signed up for those new guys among you to PUBG, I think it's part 5 we're on now. That'll be coming up sometime in the next month. I'm sorry, shit's kinda hit the fan. Your man Professor Bar over here has got stuff to do. And again, grading term papers and things like that, and you know, evaluating everyone's acumen and abilities is kind of a large sink, and I haven't been able to get through to the kind of sport through to filming the correspondence class. And also, unfortunately, I got the news that Professor Soyevsky, is going to be out for a couple of weeks. Lucky man, paternity leave. Get on him. So I had to take over his class, which is for those new guys among you to World of Warships. I have some skill, I guess. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna be doing too. That's why it's gonna be in sometime this month. But this is today, not that. Yeah, for those new guys among you to PUBG has been stretched out way too long because we were supposed to be done with it, and I'm supposed to be filming what I'm filming now, which is for those new guys among you to Overwatch. I have my TA here within Ninja Merm. You know, he's always there. Ask questions of him if you need it. He's always a good resource. To be honest, he really is kind of like just above a beginner level of knowledge of the game. So you know what? He's in most of the boat with you guys, or maybe he's captaining it. I don't know. All I know is that we're going to be starting with the grand basics, okay? I ain't even talking about aiming, I'm not even talking about, you know, ultimates, or none of that, no. It's literally just going to be how to choose your character, and more specifically, I guess, what roles to choose. Because it ain't rocket science of what I'm going to tell you right here. And would you refute me if this sounds wrong? But if you choose the wrong character or the wrong role, your day can be completely ruined. Is that a fair assessment? Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Definitely, yes.
Alright, so you have 3 different classes of person in Overwatch. You have tanks. They're chunky boys. They can withstand a lot of damage, but of course they ain't invincible. So that's when you need the healers, or as we call them, supports. They keep your ass alive. And then we have damage, otherwise known as your DPS. As you can see, here's the array of them all in a row. At this point, by the way, it's 2020. I'm expecting everyone at least to have a basics of you've played an FPS. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna baby you on that one. I'm giving that one to you guys as a given for once. Unfortunately, last time I gave you a given, you failed me. But hey, I'm not going over that. So, with tanks and supports, there's one very important thing you need to know. You have mains and offs. You have main tanks and main healers, and you have off tanks and off healers. What's the difference? Ninja, you know what the difference is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between a main tank and an off tank?
A main tank and an off tank?
Yeah, what's the difference? Come on. I know you know this, dude. We've been over this. You don't remember, do you?
No.
God, no.
You explain it.
Yeah, it's very simple.
I'm terrible at explaining.
It's very simple. A main tank is any tank with a shield. Why are they main tanks? Well, because they stop damage coming in, and normally you can anchor behind a shield. It's simple, you know. Here's all the main tanks that you need to be aware of: Orisa, Reinhardt, Sigma, Winston. Now, some people count Zarya because Bubble is technically a shield, but you can't keep it up, so it's like, I count Zarya as an off tank, but that's just me personally. Some people count her as main. Some people also count Sigma as an off. I count him as main. Wait, I said Zarya is a main. No, I mean Zarya is an off. So that means everyone else is an off tank. D.Va's an off. Roadhog is an off. Hammond is an off, and Zarya, in my opinion, is an off tank. Main healers and off healers, or main supports and off supports, are the same kind of deal, except it's now how you get your ultimate that determines whether you're a main support or an off support. If you're a main support, you get your ultimate primarily through healing, whereas an off support mainly gets it through damage. Ana, Baptiste, Mercy, Mora. Okay, those are actually I think Baptiste is kind of weird because he can, depending on the player, be an off healer or a main healer. Same thing with Ana. But she really is more of a main healer, so long as you play it right. So that means that Brigitte, Lucio, Zenyatta are your off heals. That means they get their ultimates primarily through doing damage. Yes, they do heal, but theirs is slower and more like overtime or area effects. Normally, I can't say definitively this is this and that is that guaranteed because there's some overlap. Because Mora's a main heal, but she has area of effect healing. Alright, so it gets hazy in between them. And DPS, there's two kinds. You got hit scans and projectiles. Within projectiles, you got two: tracking and leading. And it's not that hard. If you played an FPS before, you should know this. So, you've gotten to so that's the main part of what characters or what the roles are. Tank, you eat damage and keep your team alive as best you can. Heals, you keep the team alive by actually making sure that no one dies, because health bars are a thing, and you don't let them get to 0. Or at least you try not to. Of course, you have one get out of jail free card in Mercy's Valkyrie, or I should say in Mercy's Resurrect. That's an ability. We'll get to those at a later date. Probably like tomorrow, whenever I film that. That's the only get out of jail free card, but that's every 30 seconds that get out of jail free card can be used. And it's only on one person. So, if a whole ass load of you die, well, either it's time for the Mercy to run away, or try to res one man to see, well, how long can I stay alive with you around? So, I think that just about covers it. Now, to choose who would be best. Now that depends on the map.
Justice ain't gonna dispense itself.
What I would say though is it really does depend on the map. Some maps are better for certain styles of players and certain heroes. Technically, all maps can have all heroes being played on them with a significant level of competency. But again, that's one of those all things being equal kinds of deals. So it may not be exactly what I'll call perfect. Like here in the training range, you can see you have kind of like long flat expanses. This is perfect for hit scan heroes. Like actually McCree that I hear be playing. So that's That's something. Also, be aware of what your character's gun does, because some
We're
have
all
bloom,
soldiers now.
and you want to be aware of that. That's bloom. Just your reticle gets wider, and your shots fall within the essential zone of fire. So you can see here, they're all within the center, kind of like quote-unquote circle of it. So just be aware of that. Well, what should you play on what maps? I can't tell you because situations be weird. And again, all things being equal, you can play anybody on any map. But certain maps are more geared towards certain skill sets. So, just to give you the quickest of the quickest rundowns, I'm going to give you some general rules that might help you in deciding. And team chemistry and synergy do account for wins and losses. But we'll get to all that nonsense later on. So, on the assault style maps, which means that you go to one point, you capture it, and then you go to another point and capture that. And then you switch sides and the enemy gets to try to take it. On assault style maps, in my opinion, it is best to have a shield tank, an off tank, 2 forms of DPS. Preferably, I would actually go with 2 projectile characters. But of course, you can go 2 hit scan or hit scan and projectile, whatever you feel. But personally, my opinion is 2 projectiles, and then 2 main healers. That, in my experience, has gotten me the best results. And I play a lot of Overwatch. Let me tell you, I've played well over 5,000 games. Lost more than half of them, but damn it, I've been playing. You don't get to be a level. Hold on, man. I think. Okay, so it's 600. 1200. Yeah, 1200 is Silver Portrait 5 stars. Wait, no, that's 11 on no, so that's 1200. So you don't get to be a 1285 for nothing. I'll get to ranking later, or like portraits later. So, control maps. That's where you go to an objective and you hold it until you have complete domination twice. You'll change maps out. You can see here that it says, a certain area, Ilios, Lijiang, but there's 3 sets in each of these rotations. Like Ilios, you have Ilios Ruins, Ilios Well, Ilios Lighthouse. As long as you get 2 out of those 3, you're good. Again, 100% hold on them. On control maps, in my opinion, the best team composition is 1 main tank, 1 off tank, 2 projectile DPS, a main healer, and an off healer. For certain places, you'd want to swap out one of those projectile DPS to a hit scan, or you can have a hit scan and a projectile from the beginning. Again, that's my opinion of how the best is going. Escort. That means that you have a payload from the get-go that you don't need to unlock, which is going to be the next one, the hybrids. So you get a payload. It's already unlocked, and you just need to push it till the end, or push as far as you can within the time limit, and possible overtime that you get. Possible. You might not always get it because, just in case, if someone doesn't touch it within the last 3 seconds. Yes, it's weird. And that again, future episode. We'll talk about that later. But on escorts, my personal opinion of best composition is, and this is an either situation, because I've seen it work. 2 main tanks, or a main tank and an off tank. Alright? Then the standard of 1 off healer, 1 main healer, and 2 DPS of some variety. In this case, legitimately, I can go with of some variety. Although I would suggest for certain maps, have a hit scan in the beginning. If you want to keep them through that the entire game, because they're more like a short-ish range hit scan, like say Soldier 76 or McCree, then that you can make that work. Reaper also, I forgot about Reaper, yeah. Yeah, that's my personal opinion on escort. And finally, hybrids. Hybrids are a mix between a assault and an escort. So you go to a point, you have a payload there that you need to stand on until it reaches 100 to unlock, and then you push a payload until the end of its route, or the amount of time, whichever happens to come first. Normally there's a checkpoint or 2 in between when you unlock and you make it to the end. Normally 1 or 2 of them. And on hybrid maps, I would say the best recourse for team composition is all the game. You go with a main tank, off tank, healer, main heal, off heal, projectile, DPS, and hit scan DPS. Because you kind of need to have a bit of flexibility on everything. It would be fair to say that. Smells weird out here. I don't know what the hell it is. Like burnt charcoal and egg. Like rotten egg. Sorry. Yeah, that's about everything for hybrid. So, watch Point Gibraltar. Since we're here. I'm going to take you to different points on it.
Arriving at Watch Point
This
Gibraltar.
is a pure escort map. Alright, so we got payload. It's nice, it's shiny. And
We're all soldiers now.
I'm gonna come from spawn to see it. Alright, this is the first checkpoint. This is the first point where the payload that is over here, all the way down here. Right there. This is the start of the map. Alright, so you're gonna push it along this path, this path with lights in the ground. Gonna come all the way over here. The door's gonna open, then you're gonna go through and you're gonna escort out down this way, so keeping along lines. Second stage. It's right here, point B. Then you're gonna open the door. And then the door's gonna open, and you're gonna go push it right back here to point C, which is the final objective, and the launch pad right here. So, look at the geometry of the map right here. It'd be perfect for someone to be up there and to shoot, right? Because you also have this bridge of shoot. I'm gonna shoot down on people. Once you get stairs to get up there and such. It's a nice choke point that, you know, people have to be in. So, a projectile person, say like Junkrat, could easily spam this area and keep it kind of cordoned off. So that's a choke point. Get on top of the ship and rain hell down from above. And of course, a lot of tight chokes and holes, corners. For, you know, a lot of fighting to have taken place, along with on the high grounds. That's the beginning of it. I'm going to tell you where, I mean, the quote-unquote attackers, depending on how you want to look at it. You start off from over here. Your defenders start where I spawned in, back there. And normally people like to do either one of two things. One, hold this high ground over here. Or they'll come down and actually actively hold the first corner. Right back here. Of course you have a cliffside here so you can flank around. Some defenders like to start over here. You got some cheeky shots in. And then they'll quickly drop back to defend over here. It's a style. Yes, I have self-tells on because why not? Don't worry, we'll teach controls sometime. But I tell you, some of the controls I have mucked with simply because they weren't good for me. Like the buttons weren't like useful for me. That's really about it. That's really all I have to say about this topic. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys right now. And listen, for those new guys among you to Overwatch, get your practice rank and figure out what you like doing. Because I'll be honest with you, there's also something you need to know. You're a go get 'em tagger kind of person. If you want, play tag. If you're in kind of just hang out in the back, chill kind of person, be a support. If you're a go-getter who doesn't, if you're a go-getter who has all the passion that they can, but for some reason don't seem to know how to put that passion in staying alive, you're a DPS. That's just what you are. Unfortunately, the vast majority of players are DPS players. And queuing, yeah. Fun. But, yeah man, different strokes. So try not. I say this kind of half ironically because I count myself mostly as a Ryan main. But yeah, don't pigeonhole yourself as into a category. Again, ironic since I have a main. But you do want to have someone who you're very proficient at in the beginning. Number one, as a fallback, if things go sideways. And number two, be ready for changes because Blizzard will hit you either with, because Jeff will hit you either with a nerf bat or a buff stick. And right now, recently, he's been cracking up the nerf bat a little bit more and hitting people a little bit harder than normal. In fact, there was an update like literally today. And unfortunately, there are some changes that are just noticeable enough to make you go, they changed something, didn't it? Or was it always this weird? And it'll make you go insane in when you think, I played yesterday. I'm sure it wasn't like this, right? Yeah, those are the worst kinds of changes when it's like subconscious messing, man. Anyways, get to the practice range. Practice, practice, practice. Go and play against bots. Because those that'll give you live fire training. Yeah, and practical, accuracy. Alright, last dismissed.